Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and get this started. All right, first question. Shalom, Jason. I'm an intermediate lifter in the Big 5, 18% body fat. I want to go on a slow cut before I have to buy new clothes. What program would you recommend? Would ICF cutting version be enough at my level, or is a different approach needed? Keep up the amazing work. If you're a legitimate intermediate lifter, the cutting version of my original novice program is too aggressive for you for a cut. And the reason I say that is that it's intended for novices on a cut. You're going to progress slower as an intermediate. Here's what I would say. Run any normal intermediate program and just cut very, very slowly. Cut very slowly. Are you going to occasionally stumble in there? Yes. You can also slow down the progression a bit. Right? In other words, let's say you run a linear periodization intermediate program like the one that I have. Just throwing it out there as an example. You could slightly reduce the weight jumps from block to block. Right? Progress a little bit slower, because you are going to progress more slowly even on a slow cut as an intermediate. But it doesn't mean you don't necessarily want to run an intermediate program. And this is going to sound ridiculous in some ways. Some people might want to consider running the next sort of program up when they cut. In other words, if you're an intermediate lifter and you know you're going to make slower gains because you're going to slow cut, you're going to make probably similar gains to an advanced lifter. Run an advanced program. Because isn't that the real difference between advanced, intermediate, and novice is how hard you can push progression? What sort of tools you have to use to force progression, even though it's going to be slower than the people before it. That's what it comes down to. So look at it from that perspective, or like I said, just run an intermediate program and be more conservative with increases. Just be more conservative, and remember to cut slowly. Cut slowly. Don't try to cut 2 pounds of fat every week or anything crazy. You'll be fine. All right, next question. Is Jim Stoppani a shadow pinner? Why would you think he's a shadow pinner? Like, I think it would be pretty obvious based upon his training methods and the fact that he makes most of his money off selling supplements. But he's not a shadow pinner at all. He's obviously a pinner. Like, I'm not even sure why that's even in question. Does he even claim natty? Like, I don't even know if he claims natty, but I hope he doesn't. Because a lot of the training that he uses is really just geared towards people who use anabolics. And again, he's just all about selling supplements, and most people who sell supplements for a living use a little bit of gear to look better so that they can push their supplements. That's the norm in this industry. Like, I don't think he's anything different in regards to that. And at the age he's at, and with some of the terrible training methods he uses, I think it's fair to say he uses a little bit of stuff to look like he looks. Again, is this even in question? Like, I'm surprised anyone would even ask this. I mean, but to each their own. I understand maybe you don't know how the industry works. You're new to the industry itself, but this is one of those things that really shouldn't even need to be asked. I mean, anyone who's selling supplements for a living, 99% chance they're using anabolics, right? That's just the way it works. That's the way it works, particularly if they use their physique as a billboard. That is almost guaranteed anabolic use, right? That's almost guaranteed. Anybody, doesn't have to be Jim Stoppani. It's a good rule of thumb to follow. All right, next question. Hello, Jason. As someone with mild scoliosis, what would you recommend doing about squats, deadlifts, and any exercise that compresses the spine? Thanks. I don't like to give a lot of advice to people with back injuries. All I can give you is what I've observed personally with people with scoliosis. One of my early workout partners when I was much younger, almost a lifelong friend of mine, had scoliosis, and his was not that mild. He still got to like a 400-pound squat, right? I remember he got up to a 400-pound squat with no problems. What I would say is pay attention, talk to your doctor, talk to a physical therapist, get their input on it. But just giving my experience there, I've seen that. And then I know a serious power lifter who I've been at meets with and I've judged before, who had fairly serious scoliosis. And I've seen him deadlift 600 pounds in comp. So it's not necessarily a problem. I would say that you need to pay extra care to your spine health. You should probably do extra core work. You need to pay really very, very close attention to your technique and form. That's what I would say for anyone with something like that. You need to pay very, very close attention to your form. Don't allow yourself to have form degradations, form breakdown. Make sure your abs stay strong. And of course, talk to your doctor about it. But I'm just going to say that I don't know about your specific case. I'm not really qualified to discuss your specific case with you. All I can tell you is that I have known several very, very, very strong deadlifters on the squat and deadlift who have scoliosis, who have been successful. So what I'm going to say is that it's totally doable, but again, at the very least, consult your doctor and a therapist and stuff about it when in doubt, right? That would be a good idea. But it can be done, and you can get very, very strong on these exercises with it. But just take very, very great care of your form, your technique. Pay attention to any pains you get, and make sure your abs and things are really strong. All right, next question. Hey Jason, I know you're not a fan of traditional supersets. In an effort to reduce training time and improve work/life/lifting balance, could I maybe alternate sets of 3 to 5 on my row and overheads, for example? Take about 90 to 120 seconds between each set and go till I hit my total volume for each exercise? Do you think this could be effective, even if not ideal for max strength development? You just use that word max strength development while describing something that's going to be inefficient and ineffective for it. So the answer is no. It's not going to be as effective. You need to get your time management more on point. And I mean, it would be one thing if this is a little small exercise. Look, you want to superset some bicep and tricep small movements. That's fine. You're talking about doing supersets between the standing press and another lift. And you think that this is going to be a good management of your time. I'm sorry, it's just not. No, I'm not going to sign off on this. Because then people will say that I approve of this sort of bullshit. You need to work on your time management. Look, if you don't have time at the gym to do both rows and your standing press, then maybe when you get home later between dinner and tucking the kids in bed, you could do chin-ups or pull-ups at home on a bar at home to get the extra training volume in. But this is absolutely going to interfere with your ability to get strong on the press. All right, this will interfere with the training effect of your standing press, which is a primary exercise. It needs to be programmed like a primary exercise. It needs to be treated like a primary exercise. I place it in the category of being one of the most important exercises. No, you cannot shortchange your programming on it like that. That is a brutally hard exercise to get strong on. It is one of the most difficult exercises of the big 4 or big 5 to progress on. Doing those supersets between it will shortchange your progress on this important lift. So absolutely not. Absolutely not. Under no circumstances will I sign off on this. Sorry, that's reality. Maybe get better time management, or just do your press and then find some other time to get extra upper back work in. Right? That's what you're going to need to do. That lift needs your undivided attention when you do it. All right, next question and last question of the week. What would you recommend? I am stuck just below the knee on the deadlift. I easily lift it from the ground, but can't pass the knee. You need to get stronger. That's what you need to do. Quit trying to lift weights that you can't deadlift. You need to learn how to perform the deadlift. I mean, if you're just starting out with the deadlift, you need to learn how to perform the lift. If this is where you're stalling, you need to get stronger and quit trying to lift deadlifts that you're not capable of lifting. You need to do some sub-maximal work. But you need to get stronger. What do you mean? That's a normal sticking point. I mean, if you can't get past your knee, that's where you stick on the deadlift usually, which means you're just lifting a weight that's too heavy for you. You're not strong enough to lift it. You need to get stronger. You either stick directly on the floor, it doesn't budge off the floor, or it stops just below the knee. Now, I can tell you right now, you're not easily breaking off the floor and then stopping just below the knee. There is no way it's easy off the floor. You are working with every ounce of strength that you have to budget that first 2 inches. Because if you weren't, there is no way you would stick to just below the knee. You need to get your ego in check. You need to learn how to deadlift. You need to get stronger, and you need to do sub-maximal work with weights that you can handle until you get stronger. Right? That's what you need to do. Because that's a normal sticking point for a failed max. like a failed true competition max. That's a normal sticking point. You are just not strong enough to lift the weight that you were trying to lift. You need to get on a proper strength training program, and you need to use proper loading and proper programming until you get stronger. And quit trying to deadlift weights that you're not capable of deadlifting. I mean, it's as simple as that. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.